League of Legends is a game that needs no true introduction. When you hear the words League of Legends, it's very likely you're in one of two parties. One possibility is you hear League of Legends and begin to grimace, knowing that's the most popular computer game with a toxic online community. Most of these people will have some basic understanding of the game and the weight it holds in the gaming and esports world, but they themselves don't actually play the game. The second possibility is you hear League of Legends and begin to think of your favorite champ, or the games you played earlier today, or will later tonight, maybe even thinking about messaging some friends to start a lobby with. After these initial thoughts, the second group will begin to grimace, knowing that playing a game means they'll have to deal with that toxic online community they have now embedded themselves into, yet they will continue to queue up and lock in their champ. So, why do people play a game that they hate? League of Legends has become synonymous with competitive gaming and the growth of esports, taking place across the globe with international leagues in Europe, East Asia, Oceania, North and South America. With this, it is likely comes as no surprise that League has amassed one of the largest player bases for any video game, with a staggering 180 million monthly players with over 10 million daily players. As is the truth with any large group of people on the internet, there are going to be some amount of bad apples, but many would claim the League community is overwhelmingly toxic, both in the game and outside within online forums such as Reddit. This ends up being a much more complex statement to prove or to debunk for a variety of reasons. Players that have been chat restricted or permabanned can make new accounts or purchase them and be repeat offenders. Not every toxic instance is representative of a fully toxic individual and can instead be chalked up to a one-time occurrence. Toxic behavior is not always effectively punished by Riot, or could even be a result of an extremely vocal toxic minority instead of being representative of all 180 million monthly players. All these points could have multi-layered arguments for or against them, but regardless, it isn't so simple to answer the question if the League community is overwhelmingly toxic. What matters here, regardless if it's really the reality, is the League community is portrayed as a toxic one. To best respond to the seemingly unprovable statement about the League's community, I believe the experiences of the players who make up this exact community in question provide some of the insight required to understand whether the League community is as toxic as we perceive it, and to possibly get to the reason for why people play a game that they hate. As it's impossible to get every player's personalized experience with the game, I chose to instead talk to people who have drastically different backgrounds with the game, ranging from completely casual play on rare occurrences to daily rank grinding to the avid esports watcher. With some understanding of why a few different people play the game, maybe we can come to some larger conclusions about the perceived toxicity of the League community and ultimately why people continue to play a game that they hate. How did you get introduced to League of Legends, and how long have you been playing the game?
Hey, my name is Bruce. My summoner name is Wallace the Llama. I got introduced to League of Legends by my brother back in Season 3, and I've been playing on and off ever since 2012.
So I got introduced to League of Legends back in middle school when a couple of my friends were playing it and they asked me to join them. And so growing up, playing both PC and console games, I decided, why not give it a try? And I've pretty much played it ever since up until a couple of years ago.
So I was first introduced to the game by my cousin or my brothers. I don't remember. I guess my family around me was playing it and I wanted to play with them.
Have you taken any prolonged breaks from the game, or have you consistently been playing the game since you first started?
I was playing pretty much all the time until I got to university, then I couldn't juggle games and work, so I had to take multiple 3 to 6 month breaks, usually picking the game back up in the summer whenever I was on break.
So I have taken a break from the game for the past couple of years. I would say not because I stopped liking the game, but because I just didn't have the right equipment to play. And so I don't really own a desktop, and my laptop wasn't really the best for gaming. It was just for school and stuff, and so playing League actually kind of took a toll on my laptop. It drained the battery and decreased its battery life overall. So I would say that's the main reason why I took this prolonged break from it. I think I've had to actually switch a laptop just because the battery was so bad on it from gaming.
I have taken long breaks. I think there was times I must have gone probably 6 months or something without playing the game. And yeah, I think I just at one point got bored of the game. I think I was more into CSGO at one point. But I guess I would say overall I've been consistently playing. I guess I never missed a season maybe. I must have played at least once every season.
What aspects of League of Legends do you like, and would you recommend the game to others?
I do like League of Legends, and I would recommend it to others, but only if you have a mix of other new people with you and experienced people to help teach the game. It's important to be able to ease yourself in with people who are either at your level or are learning. It's hard to find new League of Legends players because 99% of the people in 1 to 30 are not new and probably either making a new account to stop or because they said too many gamer words. I still like League because many of my friends play and I can connect with them by playing the game. Being able to rely on them, try fun strategies, and make crazy plays and comebacks is why I still play. Playing with friends makes the high points that much better and prevents you from experiencing too many lows from bad games or teammates.
Yeah, I do still like League, and I definitely would recommend it to others, mostly just because there's so much variety in League. I think we haven't kept up with it, but I'm pretty sure there's at least like 100 different champions you can play. I mean, considering that they only have 4 abilities, having 100 different champions all with different abilities seems kind of crazy, but it's also really cool, and there's always something for somebody.
I like, to some degree, I say there's like a 1v1 element like to the game, which I kind of like. If I want to just like focus on myself, I can like queue for top. I don't know, I just like the competitiveness. Sometimes I just like the 1v1. Just depends how I'm like feeling that day. I really love playing with friends and just like talking to them about the game, what to do to win. And with strangers, sometimes it's nice because it's nice to like see when you guys like think of doing the same play and you guys actually complete it, that's like really satisfying. Yeah, I mean, I think like the game is like pretty balanced and everything, and a good balance between like a team game and individual games, so I think it's pretty good.
How would you describe the League of Legends player base as a whole?
I think the League player base as a whole is pretty mean, cringe, and sweaty. Not much good ever comes out of all chat. That said, I did meet some really cool people by bonding over the game back in the day, but 90% of them were from in-person events like LCS games or watch parties.
Most of the people are fairly competitive. Obviously if you're in ranked, you're just playing to win. But if you're playing normals or if you're playing ARAMs, you're playing to have fun, but you also still want to win in the end.
I remember it used to be so bad, and people still complain to this day, but I remember it used to be like way worse. The chat was so bad, and if something went wrong, people were so toxic. Nowadays, you can really like play a game and I'd say like half the time no one says anything, and the other half of the time people maybe like ping you a couple times, but no one's like really toxic. But yeah, everyone is pretty nice, I guess, compared to before. I don't think it's really that much of a toxic game. Maybe not to new players, so I could see like where that could be an issue.
If you could change any one thing about the League community, what might that be?
I wish there was a more welcoming experience for new players. They should be able to learn, have other people to play with, and enjoy the game as they improve. It's really sad when someone genuinely trying to learn is getting spam pinged and flamed by someone who's been playing for 10 years and never been above silver. If you don't know anybody who plays, a school club who is new player friendly is probably the best way in.
One thing about the League community that I could change is that a lot of people are kind of toxic. I think some people are a bit too competitive compared to their teammates, and sometimes, if they think their teammates aren't trying that hard, they'll get on their ass per se. Yeah, I've been in some of those games where people get in like a shouting match, but with typing, just because, one guy wants to win really bad, the other isn't really trying that hard, just wants to have fun, and there's just that difference in competitiveness.
Try to be more understanding of a player's like situation like in a game, and like try to understand more of like why something went wrong for them in a lane, because maybe like you could have prevented it, or if someone is doing something wrong in the game, instead of just flaming them, maybe like actually try to tell them what the right thing to do was. I mean, I could see why it's also difficult to do because lots of people have an ego, so I would say one thing I would change is have everyone drop their ego. Maybe that would help.
While no conclusions can be made from the statements of 3 individuals that encompass the entirety of the 180 million monthly players, I think we can learn some valuable lessons about the League of Legends community and why some of its players continue to come back to play. For one, League players can be toxic, but this isn't unique to League of Legends. When you combine a team of 5 strangers who have never interacted with each other, have no idea what their plans are for the game, no understanding of their skill level, and ask them to compete to win against a team of 5 more strangers, it's really no surprise that some elevated emotions begin to show. Now, I'm not giving a pass for anyone to be toxic, and yes, some players definitely take what they say or do way too far for the bounds of a video game, but when you give competitors the safety of anonymity on the internet, it's really no surprise that some of these behaviors are so present. Second, League players need to be more welcoming to newer players. Instead of assuming every player in your game has been playing the game for years, give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's their first game returning after a long hiatus, or maybe they're just trying a new champion completely. Even if SmurfQ's trying to separate actual new players from returning ones, everyone needs to do better in teaching newer or less experienced players that it's okay to be bad, and everyone's just trying to have fun at the end of the day. People forget their first experiences with the game and how difficult everything can be at first, And the last thing someone needs is to be constantly flamed in chat for something they don't even know. And lastly, most League players play for their community. As ironic as it sounds, many of us continue to play the game because of the bonds we have formed with friends through the very game we complain about. Most of us distance ourselves from the toxic community as a whole, and I would argue have formed wholesome, smaller communities within. Instead of going into League and dealing with the toxicity it may hold, we have found or made friends with the people who have brightened our experience with the game, and choose to keep experiencing the fun it has to offer with them instead. To answer the question, why do people play a game they hate? We really don't hate the game. Yes, do we have our moments where we aren't having fun? Or maybe having to deal with someone having a bad day can equally make ours a little bit worse. For me, this is no different than the lows one might experience while playing a sport. Sometimes do we hate the sport when it feels like nothing is going our way, or maybe the team loses, or maybe some of the trash talk really gets underneath your skin. But we know if you give it time, we're going to want to get back out on that field and play the sport we love. League of Legends is no different. We don't hate the game we play. We can hate the experiences we have with it sometimes, but the times we enjoy, most commonly with friends, are what keeps us playing.